the resource that I want to talk about today is called Perpetual Commotion, and we're going to call this video series our resource remix. So what we like to do at Mission Cognition is purchase things that we think are going to be valuable or useful for the students that we work with, and then we remix them a little bit. So we want to make sure that there are multiple different things that we can do with a single activity. And when we purchase activities, we want to make sure that we can use them to address the specific target skills that our learners are working on. So playing games is a lot of fun. There's a lot of skills embedded within that. But in order for our learners to acquire the skills we're targeting, we need to make sure that there's a lot of opportunities for practice. And then we want to practice using a lot of different stimuli for generalization. So again, this is called Perpetual Commotion. It's designed as a 2-player game, ages 8 and up, and I purchased it on Amazon. So I will tell you, and it's not unusual for us, I've yet to really read the directions of how you're supposed to play this game. I opened them up and they were a little bit overwhelming, but I will get to that at some point so that we can teach the kids the correct way to play. But I had other skills that I wanted to target. So I purchased this for our teen group, and I thought it would lend itself nicely to working on some basic fast-paced responses. So why I like these cards, they're very similar to Uno, but more of a simple design. So you'll see there's four colors or 3 colors. All right, so it comes with blue, green, and red. Yes, there's 3 colors, and then it's numbers 2 through 8. So there's no 1 and there's no 9. And then there's a couple of start cards, and there's also a couple of stop cards. So I'd be curious if you have ideas of what we could do with the start and stop. We didn't get that far yet, but I can certainly make part 2 of this video. And then there's also comes with a die. A little confused by this because it's numbers 1 through 8. So there's no 1 on the cards, but there is a 1 on the die, just so you know. Okay, so what we did was we passed out, I believe it was 7 cards to each player. So we had a pretty large group. So 7 cards to each player, and then we assigned what we called a card master. So we would have one of the students be the card master, and then the other students were taught the expectations. So I would let them know, the card master is John. The card master is John. So what I was doing there was I'm targeting choral responding or introducing active student responding. So a lot of our kids will respond to questions that they are directly asked one-to-one, but when it's a whole group instruction or a choral response, you'll see that, and you may experience the same, you have a lot of kids that don't respond. So we want to make sure that our kids are able to participate and learn in a group setting, a typical classroom setting. So again, we pass out 7 cards to each of the kids, identify a card master. I say the whole thing first. The card master is John. So I say it very clearly. Then I say the card master is, and I'm waiting for that interverbal fill-in, okay, that choral response, and everybody says John. I'm then giving them the rest of the expectations, okay? The card master is John. Eyes should be on John's cards. Eyes should be on John's cards. So I'm getting that fill-in again. So that's 2 opportunities for choral responding, okay? Then the last part is I'm going to tell them the rule. So dependent upon the level of the participants that you're playing with, you may want to play the same way initially, but for me, one of our other target skills, in addition to the choral responding, was the flexibility and staying in tuned and sensitive to changes that are occurring. So we were making quite a bit of rule changes and wanted to make sure that the kids were attending to that very closely and were able to follow along with the new rule, okay? So 7 cards to everybody, card master. The card master is John. The card master is, kids fill in, John. Eyes should be on John's cards. Eyes should be on choral response or interverbal, John's cards, okay? The rule is, and you're gonna fill in the whole thing for them because remember that's the first time they're hearing it, and then you're gonna wanna get that active student responding. So let's go with color, okay? The rule is match by color. The rule is, and they'll say match by color, or you can say the rule is match by color. So it's up to you. You have to differentiate that instruction. What are your learners able to do language-wise? Can they fill in that whole phrase, or are they just filling in that single word, okay? Then you're ready to play, all right? So there's your target skills so far. We have the choral responding, and then we have the flexibility of that adhering to those rule changes or accepting those rule changes, and then that awareness, knowing that the rules were changed and staying in tune to that, okay? The other primary target or targets that we're looking for is scanning, so a quick scan, and then we want to shorten that latency of response time. So we talk about hustle. So we teach the kids to hustle. If you're taking a long time to make a response, you're falling behind. It's so many missed opportunities for social interaction. So that's an issue if you're asked a question and you take a long time to respond, if you're given a direction and you take a long time to respond, or if it's a choral response. So we talked about a vocal choral response, filling in the words, but now we're looking at a physical choral response or a motor response. I want everybody to be scanning at the same time and quickly responding, okay? So we have the card master identified. The card master has their card stacked down flat on the table, and everybody else can fan out their 7 cards to look, okay? So the rule is match by color. They're going to hold it up. My preference is for you to not say the color aloud. If you do have to do that, you're potentially targeting a different skill. I want to make sure that they're scanning, they're attending to nonverbal cues, and not such a reliance on verbal directions, okay? But up to you with what you're targeting. So I hold it up. Everybody should then be quickly scanning the cards in their hand. Remember, the rule was to match by color. I have one. I'm going to put it down quickly on the table. What we taught the kids was if they don't have it, to put their hand on their head. Because remember, you're tracking the quick scan and the quick response. So if they put something out, you have that permanent product. So you can quickly scan and you can collect data on, who put the correct card out within 3 seconds. If they don't have it, you don't want to mark them wrong. They didn't have anything that they could put down. So give them an alternate response, okay? So I would say, the card master is John. The card master is John. I should be on John's cards. I should be on John's cards. The rule is match by color. The rule is match by color. If you don't have it, put your hand on your head. If you don't have it, put your hand on your head, okay? So whoever's collecting data is going to scan it, whatever criteria you have. Should it be within 2 seconds? Should it be within 3 seconds? They should have a card on the table, or they should have their hand on their head. You want to check for accuracy, but you also want to check for speed of response, okay? So that latency piece, the accuracy and the latency piece, all right? So we want to make sure that we're sticking together as a group. It's that choral responding, it's that hustle, okay? That's how we stay together. You need that synchronicity and you need that reciprocity in so many other types of social interactions to be successful. So it's not about the card game. I don't care whether they ever learn to play Commotion. I care that you're attending in a group and you're a part of that team and your timing is on point with other players. That's a critical skill needed to be effective and successful in other social interactions, and the difference between being skilled socially and having social skills. You can say all the right things, you can do all the right things, but if you're taking too long to do it, your timing is off, or you're not synchronous. Is that a word? You don't have that reciprocity, you're not going to come across as skilled socially, okay? So other rules we came up with, so we had match by color, match by number, we had put down more, so whatever number the card master had, you have to put down something more than that, less than that, or addition. So if I hold up this, for example, you'd have to put down a 4 and a 4 if you have it, a 6 and a 2, a 5 and a 3. So you can come up with a variety of rules. And again, you'll want to do that if you're targeting that higher level of being able to go with the flow, be flexible. If you have a population of kids that struggles with that and will only want to play the certain way, or if you have the kids that really start to tune out and they're not staying aware of those subtle changes in the environment, okay? Other thing you can do is roll the die. they'd have to look, I'd probably play that more with a smaller group. We were playing with kids around a large table. Since the numbers on the die are so small, I would play in a smaller area, or you could have the person call it out 6, and you're shuffling, got it, okay? Other thing you could do is work on me too or not me, and I made a very simple visual for this, me too, not me. I have it, I don't have it, and what we did here is just, you have one person who can have their cards in a pile, the other person can fan it, you just flip it and you'll say like, I have an 8, the other person would scan me too, or not me, okay? And that's just working on reciprocating information, making comments, which is obviously a skill that's needed for conversation. So I'd love to hear in the comments if you have other ideas for how you could play this game, especially if you have ideas for how you could use the start and stop cards. That something off the top of my head right now is that you could just have a pile turned over and just flip until you get to a stop card, or someone shows you a stop card and then you start again. So this could be really helpful with, again, working on that timing, that concept of hustle, shortening latency, attending to the environment. Also, it could indicate maybe who starts the play and who ends it. So maybe everybody that's sitting next to this player would flip, and then this person stops. It's really, we're only limited by our own creativity and our own ideas. But my closing thought is, when you're purchasing materials, purchase materials that you think that you can purpose for many different types of activities, or to be able to target a variety of skills. Also, I would suggest working your way backwards, okay? So here's what I need to target. Here's what I need to practice. These are the materials that I have access to. How can I use these to target that? And most of the time, you can really use anything if you're just creative enough. So we will continue to keep this video category type of video, and I'll just call it Resource Remix. So stay tuned for the next one. And if you have a specific activity that you would like for us to take a look at, it could be a card game, it could be a board game, a toy, anything you can think of. If you want to throw that idea out to us, we'd be happy to talk about how we might be able to remix that, okay? Thank you so much, as always, for following along with us. If this was helpful, please be sure to like and subscribe, and look for those comments down below. Take care.